Hi travelers, Tara here. This is your Nostradamus reading. I got a tweet from Jessica, notification or tweet from Jessica Adams yesterday, and I'm going to link that tweet in the description box. So if you guys have Twitter, you should be able to read it. But it was quite interesting. She tweeted it out, I think it was last night. I started this reading on the 1st of August, and as I said to you in the last time that I posted one of these, that normally what I've been doing is leaving the cards out and looking at them because there's really a lot of information contained, and I was stumped by one of the cards that came out, and so I've been doing research for the past few days, and it has not been easy. The date was August 1st at 10 a.m. with the question of how long will the pandemic last? Well, I didn't really kind of get that answer. I kind of did, but it's rather vague. The cards that came out. Oh wait, let me turn my phone off. I'm dealing with contractors. I'm trying to get some work done on my house. So just bear with me 1 second here. Let me turn on my do not disturb because invariably my mom's gonna call. So anyway, the cards that came out is the 5, 6, 7, the Seven of Moons. Now this image looks extremely like the one where, or with the people, with the guards, the soldiers all inside, but it's completely different. It's a completely different location. But there's that card, and what I found to be most interesting were, I don't know if you can see that, there are hands on the city, hands on the city. The second card in this series is the Eight of Sons. Okay? And then the final card is the Astrologer. This is an interesting card. And so for confirmation, and I decided to do something a little bit different. So I was like, well, I need some kind of sign or information that this is the era or the time frame in which you are speaking. And so this weird card came out. And this is the one I spent the past 3 days researching. It is the Ten of Spheres. Okay? This stumped me. It stumped me. It stumped me. It took me a long time to figure this out. So basically, let me just read the quatrains that are associated with. Well, first, let me tell you about this card. That I think this is better. I have this book, and I'm waiting on the other one. I just finally ordered it. It has to come from the Netherlands, but I have a book. It's called the Nostradamus Code. Now, there are lots of books out here that are based around this particular lost document. But contained inside are these color plates. And so what I do, because the deck, I found a few of the images contained in this book that are where the quatrains are referred to are different from what's in the book that came with the deck. And in fact, I discovered that there's one card that has the same quatrain in it. So, okay. So, as you can see, where is it? There's our, wrong way. There's our first image there at the top. Okay. These pictures were actually drawn by Nostradamus. The image that I could not find was this one. It is not contained anywhere in this book. I have looked and looked and looked. It's not even in the black and white drawings, but I was able to find it in another document. And it explained and actually gave me the quatrain in which they feel it is associated with, but I couldn't find that one. And then I found this one. This is the last one, the Astrologer, and it looks like this. Y'all don't even know. He's been making me work. So there, we see it. Now, I'm going to show you something interesting about this particular image in a second. But the one that stumped me the most when I'm asking, am I in the right time frame? In other words, are you referring to this time with these cards. And I could not find this image anywhere. I ended up finding it, I think, online someplace, and it's actually part of a different book that I dug around and found online. In fact, I think I found these two documents. Bear with me one second, because as I was saying, there it is. Okay, so I had to go to something online to find it. And then I think in this same document, I was able to find the thing with the crown, because it's just this crown floating in the middle of no place. And that stumped me because I had no frame of reference by which to look at it. And I found it. There. And you can see the crown. Hold on, let me stop doing what I'm doing. Oh my God, I'm going the wrong way. Hold on. I'm going the wrong way. You can see the crown floating off in the distance, but there's no associated quatrain with this particular, except it talks about three brothers. But because it showed up just like that, without the full image, I was kind of stumped as to what it meant. And then I noticed something. I don't know if you can see. Let me try to get a little pointer here. As we can see, there's the zodiac wheel going around. And this square, this box, is lined up between the time frame of Leo over to Aries. That's first. I also feel that that's a depiction of his brazier. Remember, he says he puts it on the tripod, puts it in the bowl, and puts a bowl on the brazier, and boom, he's in. So I kind of feel like that's a depiction of that there in the center. But it is the sign of Sagittarius between the two different ribbons of the crown here. There's a sign of Sagittarius. So the crown is above the papal crown is above a regular crown, a royal crown. And so the more I looked at the crown, I looked everywhere, I couldn't figure it out. But then I realized that in this particular, his lost document, he put in what are known as heraldic confirmations. In other words, it was all based around popes, right? And so he would contain these images in some of the drawings. They were piecemeal together, but it would, if you put it all together, it would be the heraldic confirmation of the particular pope. And I went back and I looked up the heraldic confirmation of Pope Francis. And the crown itself has flowers and stars. And I'm going to post a screenshot of the heraldic confirmation of Pope Francis. So this is speaking, and he was born December 15th. He's a Sagittarius. So what that tells me is I'm in the right time frame. I hope I'm making sense. Stick with me because this was kind of complicated. So this tells me I'm in the right time frame, that I have the right pope, and the right pope tells me I'm in the right time frame, and I did that through heraldic confirmation, okay? What his herald looks like, his insignia or his coat of arms looks like. So that tells me I'm in the right frame. But then when I started reading the quatrains of the three cards, the Seven of Moons, the Eight of Suns, and the Astrologer, what Jessica was saying, let me see if I can find it here. Her post was the Nostradamus quatrain, which mentions the Kappa and Lambda versions. So we're referring to the pandemic, all right? So if we've already been through the Beta, the Kappa, the Theta, and the Lambda, that tells us that there are more variants on the way, okay? We're now up to Lambda, so the Lambda variant is out. Designated as a variant under investigation by WHO on the 14th of June, but not yet designated anywhere else as a real, I don't know, strain or what have you. So what this tells me in terms of timing, let me read you the quatrains. The Seven of Moons, and that was let me find it. I tried to get it marked. I mean, he really made me work for this. Number 82. By flood and fierce pestilence, the great city for long besieged. The sentry and guard dead by hand, sudden capture, but none wronged. Now, I don't understand what the sentry and the guard dead by hand, sudden capture. I don't understand the sentry and the guard. Sudden capture, but none wronged could kind of mean like we're caught all off guard. Even though it's, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Let me come back to that. But it starts with by the flood and fierce pestilence. So we all over the world, we're seeing these huge rain events. People are being flooded out in places that normally you don't see these types of events. I think about 1 week last week, there was a tornado in, like, I want to say it was the Czech Republic that killed people. So we're having all these huge rain events, even though out west they're being burnt to death. But there's these huge rain events and these huge water events. Fierce pestilence. We know that we are having a resurgence of the Delta variant. Hospitals are filling up here in the United States. I don't know what it's like in other countries. And as long as people refuse to get vaccinated for whatever the reason, that means it's going to continue to mutate and keep going. Okay? I think there's some kind of timing in here too. I'm not exactly sure. Because the next card, the Eight of Sons, says this. Pestilences extinguished, the world becomes smaller. And that is what Jessica's tweet was about, was that it's going to be the end of globalization. But listen, pestilences extinguished, the world becomes smaller. For a long time, the lands will be inhabited peacefully. People will travel safely through the sky, over land and sea. Then wars will start up again. So it's almost like he's saying that this is going to be with us for a long, long time. The world becomes smaller because we're no longer able to travel. But then once it is over, we will go back to things the way that they, quote unquote, used to be. Travel will return. Maybe this will be the whole idea of us being able to travel internationally and vice versa. But that once that happens, this peace that kind of settles over everybody around the world, then the old, crap's going to start up all over again. What I found to be the most interesting in this is that the astrologer, 871, the number of astrologers will grow so great that they will be driven out, banned, and their books censored. Now, he brings up the year 1607. He says, in the year 1607, by sacred assemblies, so that none will be safe from the holy ones. He's referring to the Salem witch trials, maybe even the idea of the Inquisition, right? Where knowledge had to go underground, esoteric knowledge, occult knowledge had to go underground. But I think this comes afterwards. And what I've been noticing and what I've been seeing is that there's a huge, return of people trying to get in touch with their spirituality. There are lots of people who are, their psychic abilities or their intuition is being awakened. And the coronavirus is really asking us to reprioritize what is most important in our lives. People are not going back to work the way that they were. And I think I told you these at the beginning of the year, that the virus was going to change everything. And that you are going to have to be required to be vaccinated in order to work or even to travel, right? So this is coming to pass. So that means the way that we do everything is going to change. Our supply chains are going to change. So that means that there are going to be things we can't get, or they're going to be hard to get, or things are going to become more expensive. The whole idea of globalization. I also feel that these 8 stars here represent perhaps 8 European countries. I do kind of get the sense that there's going to be maybe one or two, or maybe the G8. One of these countries is going to drop out of the U8, and the first one, I'm thinking it may be France, maybe the first one to leave. France is under a lot of pressure right now. People fighting in the street. They not wanting to get vaccinated. So that means people aren't going to be going back to work. So there's going to be huge pressure on our governments to try to either appease people or help people to live, to navigate this really, really strange time. But we will stop traveling. We're going to have to stop traveling, and I think we're going to have to figure out a way to do things the way we used to do things in order for life to continue. I don't think we're going to be able to travel. I think by the time that November gets here, it's going to be a real situation. There was something else I found in this book. So I do wholeheartedly agree with Jessica that she had a different quote on her. Let me see if I can find it. It says, 9 shall be set aside from the human flock, being divided in judgment and counsel. Their fortune shall be to be divided. Kappa, theta, lambda, dead, banished, and scattered. So this is, to me, talking about the end of globalization, really as we know it, a smaller world. Okay, she said, yeah, Nostradamus named the Lambda variant 5 centuries ago. His solution to the pandemic, a smaller world. So the end of globalization. And we hear that in this card. He's telling us that. Okay, he's actually telling us that. But what I found to be most interesting about this astrologer card was 2 things. There is a prophecy associated with this card. From far distant, and these are in capital letters, time he will come, from far distant time he will come to stir and arouse you. Far distance in huge capital letters. Vain discovery against the infinite people. Evil lurking unseen because of duty. Found in the kitchen dead and gone. Now, he's talking about 4 different things here. What he's telling us, and this is Nostradamus in the card, and he's holding out the book, asking us to read his book. But if you notice, there are no words on the page, okay? This is what's quite interesting, and I'm going to show you that imagery again. From the far distant time, so he's talking about reaching out through time, from the past into the present. He will come to stir, and arouse you. The vain discovery against the infinite people. He's saying that by this time, it's probably going to be too late because so many people don't believe. They're not going to believe anything. It's cynicism. The evil lurking unseen because of duty, I'm not sure about. But found in the kitchen dead and gone, this was how he was found. He predicted his own death. But he's also telling us in this card that he's going to be reaching out to us again from the past into the future. And that we should read his book and that we should listen to him. What it says, far distant, written in capital letters, signifies the importance of temporal distance, the dimension of temporal passage that was permitted by Nostradamus. Even the way his body would be found years later was precisely predicted. The decryption of this: gentleness will be born of this good new group of women, living in the light, ever more faithful. They will try to fly and lift themselves up toward the ways of the sky. After the defeat of the serpents, you will give up the pains of the tough, rotten apples till the gold of divine joy returns to the top, notwithstanding the standard bearer of a new duke who hopes to revive the fires of war and slaughter of the faithful. Now, it says that the Romans followed the subversive because of negligence, and the chiefs attempt some bloody missions to avert the night vigilantes of the populace. But the Vatican will not avert the danger of the subversive flame. So he's saying that as we move through the changes that coronavirus is going to bring, you're going to have more and more people dealing with not necessarily the occult, but different ways of thinking. And that the Vatican is not going to step in to help, but that there may come a time when people who do work like I do, or like Jessica Adams does, that we're going to be persecuted again, right? Nobody wants to hear that. Why? Because it makes everything unsteady. The idea that this is the actual image. And it's missing from the card. I'm trying to get it. Let me put my head over this way and then maybe I can figure it out. Wrong way. Okay. So the actual image is, I can't even see it. Let me stand up. The actual image, oh dear God, where is it? You see Nostradamus holding the book. On his forehead are the letters X, Y, and Z. Okay? It's like coordinates. But then you see the two women at the bottom, and the two women are worshiping the deer, which is the symbol of Diana, the goddess of the hunt, also representative of the moon. Okay? So I feel that what we're dealing with and what's going to be happening is that the coronavirus will be here for more years to come. But that also, as things begin to change, the end of globalization, a smaller world, that means we're going to have to rely on people closer to us to bring us answers, to get us answers, and that more and more people will probably be seeking out services like astrology or tarot card readings or meditation, herbalism, going back to the earth and using more natural things. Why? For two reasons. One is that the supply chain is going to make things dwindle. We're not going to be able to get something, so we're going to have to figure out how to do some other stuff on our own, right? But two, that the more that things change for us here due to the coronavirus, the more we're going to be seeking out, as humans, we're going to be seeking out answers from a different source, because nobody can seem to give us the answers that we actually need to hear. I do feel this is the end of globalization. I think that once we stop traveling and we stop, I don't know, reaching across borders, so to speak, that we're going to go, I think the world's going to kind of go into this time of quiet. I don't have another word for what I'm seeing or what I'm sensing. I think Neptune has a huge role to play in this in many, many different ways, because it's speaking about spirituality, those things that frighten us, the deep subconscious, but also the idea of spiritualism and what that really means to us. But he's also the ruler of the seas, so we're talking about flood events. So we're looking at a whole, what do you call it? There's a whole thing in motion. But these cards definitely tell us that by flood and pestilence, we're going to be besieged for quite some time. But that at some point, it's going to end. Now, I don't know if these 8 stars they're not just representative, I feel, of maybe the G8 or the European Union. I also feel it's kind of related to this idea, because if we look at it, it kind of looks like a corona, right? So there could be 8 variations of this thing that could extend out, I don't know, for however long, until it's either going to, hold on, because there was something else that I saw in this book. I think it was in the book. Hold on. That really kind of freaked me out. And it may not have been this book. It may have been another document that I can't seem to find. Hold on. It might have been in this one. I keep downloading this stupid thing, but it doesn't save. And if I'm not mistaken, it's actually another depiction of this. But I need to make sure of it. Hold on. prophecy of the popes. And so this is how I figured out that I was in the right time frame. Hold on one second. I think it was in here. And when I read it, it spooked the crap out of me. No, it wasn't in here. But it spoke about the prophecy of pestilence wiping out 2/3 of the population on the face of the earth. Now, if we look at where most of the people have been vaccinated, they've mainly been here in the United States and in some European countries, right? There are other countries on the face of the planet where they don't have any access to vaccines. Not only do they have access, they may not have logistically a way to store them, a way to necessarily distribute them to the entire population of the country. And so we are really looking at this idea of losing a lot of people due to this. And this is going to be like, I don't know, a slow rolling disaster, so to speak, because as long as people can't get vaccinated or won't take the vaccine or whatever the reason why they everybody can't be vaccinated, and really it's a logistical issue, it's a time issue, right? It's a huge thing. It's never been done before in humankind. So we're really looking at population wipeout. Where was that in certain areas? Let me see. I wish I could find that. I thought I saved it. I might have written it down. Where's my other book? So I do agree with Jessica that we're looking at, in a way, a slow move away from globalization. It's not that. Jeez, I have so many notes, you guys. I can't even keep up with them. Let's see. 1 second. It might be this one. No, it's not that one. 163, 877. 511. 154, 5. It might be in the fives. I might have it written wrong. Hold on 1 second. Century 5. 53, 54. No, it's not this one. It might be on some other notes, but I read it and I was like, holy crap. So he's referring to this again. So if you read that tweet, and I tweeted back, I said, yes, the cards confirm it, that we're talking about perhaps the end of globalization. It is most definitely this 8 of Sons that tells us pestilences extinguished, the world becomes smaller. For a long time, the lands will be inhabited peacefully. It made reference to the idea that people will not know which houses and which property belongs to whom. The quote, the quatrain that I can't seem to find. That in some places grass will grow up in the city streets as high as the knee, because there will be no population there, because the pestilence and disease has come in and wiped the population of the town and the city out. I never do these things to scare people. But it's really, I think he is really trying to tell us, and he's trying to prepare us in a way, if we listen, if we pay attention, if we understand what he's telling us, the signs of what it is we're going to need to do to prepare ourselves. And not just from the material world standpoint, but really from an emotional, mental, and spiritual standpoint. the clergy will not help. That's what he's saying. And there was another one that said that, the clergy will be in utter ruin. The church is going to be in utter ruin because they won't have answers for this. And it's kind of like a repeat of what happened with the church during the Black Plague. A lot of the popes and the cardinals and stuff in the cities, they would vacate and they were able to move out into the country. You know what I mean? To get away from the unwashed masses so that they weren't infected. But the church lost a lot of people too. And they had no answer for it, right? They couldn't answer why we were being visited with the plague or with the pestilence. They had no, and what could we do about it? And so the very nature of pestilence and plague makes people stay away from you, if you know what I mean. And so I feel that there is at least, I think I wrote in my notes here, 5 to perhaps 8 variants that we're going to have to go through. I feel that each one is going to perhaps be a little bit more deadly because it has or will become resistant to vaccines. The technologies can't keep up already. We got some that work. Now we got to get boosters. Only people, depending on where you're located, can get them. And the rest of the world, I'm going to say maybe 90% of the world's population don't have access. So this is going to be something, I think, that on a scale of which we have not seen, and we're going to have to figure out how to make sense of it. My kid goes back to school. High school starts August 10th. Well, I got up this morning in Arkansas. They started school early. Already they're quarantined with 700 people because there was an outbreak at the school. So, it's kind of a vicious cycle, but this is what we're going to have. This is going to be the new normal. So we should expect that we will have ebbs and flows in this. That we'll see the numbers go down, but the numbers are going to come back up. Some people think they can outweight the virus. You can't outweight it. It doesn't know boundaries. It doesn't know race. It doesn't know sex. It doesn't know religion. It doesn't know socioeconomic status. It doesn't know any of those things, and it doesn't care. And so I feel, again, that travel may have to come to a stop or a standstill. Okay? The world becomes smaller, and we're only going to be able to operate inside of our own quote-unquote COVID bubbles. We're not going to be able to go outside of those COVID bubbles, and we're not going to allow people to come in from those COVID bubbles. So this is something I think that it's going to, not only the world become smaller in terms of less population, but in terms of how we interact with each other across great distances, and that we may have to use other means and methods to gather our information or to share our information, that temporal distance kind of thing. And that can be viewed lots of different ways. I feel that there's something more about this card, because the last one of these I did, it kept referring to the Second Vatican Council. And remember, I kept saying I don't understand what the Second Vatican Council has to do with it. But I think he was trying to point me in the direction that I'm of the time frame of this Pope, Pope Francis. And when I show you the heraldic symbol of what it looks like, there's an IHS in the center, which stands for the Society of Jesus. And at the bottom, there's flowers and grapes. They stand for Saint Joseph. And then there's a star, which stands for the Virgin Mary and the Mother of the Church. And I couldn't figure out why it was that this papal crown would be over a actual crown, right? And I thought, well, a lot of kings back in the day didn't respect the Pope. They tried to have him killed. They tried to install their own. So it was kind of odd to me that, I don't know if this is a power trip or what it's trying to say. And then finally, the crown made sense to me, because when I add up Jesus, Joseph, and Mary, it speaks to the kingdom of Jesus. Okay? And so this is why the papal crown is over that particular, I don't know if it's guarding, but it definitely refers to Pope Francis. He was born December 17th, 1936. And this is his heraldic crest. So this tells me this is the right time frame. I think that he has more to say. I pulled a few extra cards, but they don't make any sense to me right now. And they may, I took pictures of them and I'm writing down stuff of the information that I'm getting. But indeed, he most definitely is referring to Jessica got her information one way, and I'm saying that my cards confirm what she's talking about, that yes, there will be more variants coming out, and yes, we are looking at the possible end of globalization. Where's that other card? Something else that came up. I don't think it's this card. Let me check my notes. It spoke about money and currency. And maybe it wasn't that book. Maybe it was this book. Y'all see what he be putting me through changes. Let's see. I can't find it, but he talked about a new kind of currency, that the old gold and silver, it will be a new currency. And I'm wondering if with the end of globalization, will cryptocurrency step more to the forefront, allowing people to be able to send money to friends, family, relatives to help sustain themselves if we're not able to reach out globally, like, do you understand what I mean? Or travel in places, or to do business in certain things like that. So there's a lot of information that he gave, but to wrap up, most definitely he's telling us that, it's going to be weather events, and it's going to be COVID-19 that's going to kind of take us through some serious changes. We are entering into here in the Gulf Coast, the height of hurricane season, and it's been quiet. Our last storm was June 9th, and it's been like zip, mom, dead, nothing. And now there's 3 systems out that are coming off the coast of Africa. So I've been spending time trying to gather as many supplies as I can get, ordering more powdered eggs, ordering more powdered milk, stocking up on water, making sure I've got gasoline in enough time. Pulling out my generator and starting it up, making sure that my chainsaw works, making sure that my hatchets are sharpened, making sure that I got enough cash so that if I have to leave, that I can go find my place to stay. But if not that, then take my tents and my stuff with me. So it's really one of those things. And so I feel that what she was saying about in her tweet, the end of globalization, this is true. And then after the end of globalization, I think we're going to be in such a state, in such a way that nobody's going to be wanting to fight wars. Nobody, and then once this period is over, we will perhaps go, because we're humans and we're stupid, we're going to go back to being the same way or doing the same things that we did before. And then things will start up again. And so that's what I have for you. I do hope you found this interesting. I hope it made sense, what I was saying, and I hope you understood how I was trying to show you that what Jessica was saying, it's being confirmed by the cards. Yes, there are, and the end of globalization. This is definitely true. A smaller world for certain, if not the end of globalization, then a smaller world in terms of the population of the people, right? And then what that does is it changes the usage of the natural resources. Water and air are not infinite. Land, these things are not infinite resources. They have a certain finiteness to them. And, my daughter and I, we're like, Mother Nature's trying to kill us. If we're not flooded out, being burnt out, then it's coronavirus. And here in America, petty crime has really gone up. A lot of shootings, that's America, right? But like more so than what you would normally hear, and not the major stuff like school shootings or shooting up places, but this is just on a regular everyday basis. I think last week we had a town of 300,000 people. I think we had like 4 cop shootings People shooting cops, right? People breaking in, catalytic converters being stolen, people breaking into houses, stealing stuff out of yards. And so there's this weird kind of descent, so to speak. I think people are panicked. I think people don't know what to do. And so we're going to have to think of a different way to navigate this space, right? Navigate the space and still maintain some of our humanity. And that's really what I think he's speaking about. So he's urging us to read his book. He's urging us to pay attention to what he's saying. And I also feel there's a warning in that last card for people who do the kind of work that we do. The warning in such that more people are going to get into it, but that, what am I trying to say? That we need to be extremely careful about the messages that we're putting out and the kind of energy that we're putting out, because it really could have a backlash, even though we're trying to operate from a place of truth, objective truth, right? And so so that's it. That's what I have for you. I hope that makes sense. And then I'm going to, at the end of this, because my editing game ain't good enough for me to splice that thing in there, the heraldic symbol. I'm going to put that at the end of this video so that you can see it. And I'll probably take a picture of it or a screenshot, but that's the image. And I think I'll post this up over on Tarot Predictions, the website, and I'll put this image next to the heraldic image side by side so that you can kind of see what I'm talking about, okay? So until next time, namaste, be well, stay safe, bye.